Welcome to Marked Up Live.
What's up? What's going on? Happy Thursday. It's 9 p.m. Marked Up Live. I'm so glad that you guys are watching the show tonight. We got Mr. Troy Peters in the house this evening, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm so excited. I'm kind of starstruck. He doesn't know it, but he will here shortly. And I just wanted to say hello to everybody. Happy Thursday. We have a new president, vice president, Biden and Harris. That's pretty cool. I didn't see any of the inauguration yesterday, so I'm kind of out of the loop on all of that. I'm not into politics anyways, so, you know, it is what it is. But welcome to the show, everybody. I'm so glad that you guys are here joining us this evening. And I want to send a special shout out to Smiley Productions, man. Smiley's been helping me out with some of the software stuff here, and I want to send a special thanks to him. And he earned himself a nice shirt, a marked up shirt, right, brother? Yeah. Troy's like, wow. Shirts. So, yeah. And I just kind of wanted to just kind of, I think my cousin might be watching tonight. Her name's Kimberly Martinez. And she's been diagnosed with some cancer. And you know, she's going through some chemo right now. So I just kind of wanted to send her my love and tell her that I'm thinking about her. And I love her. And I'm hoping that she gets well soon. And whatever you need, girl, let me know. I'm here for you. I'm here for all you guys. So if you guys ever need any health tips or whatever, you already know. I'd say it every week. So again, start your watch parties. Please, if you don't mind, share. Start your watch parties. Let's get this show on the road because we have Mr. Troy Peters with the San Antonio Symphony, Youth Orchestra of San Antonio, YOSA. And so, yeah, we're getting ready to start here pretty soon. And, yeah, I think that's pretty cool, man. Let's go ahead and get Mr. Troy over here real quick. And I think I'm cut out of the scene here. So let me switch out another one. Let me see. Nope. That's not that one. Let's see. Which one do you have here, brother? Here we go. This is the transition one. That'll work for now. What's going on? Adam Drum. Right there on the screen, Troy. We got some people already saying hello. What's going on, Adam? How are you, sir? It's good to see you, man. All right, so I can tell, Troy, that you're taking some precautions on COVID, and you got your mask on. That's great, man. You're staying healthy.
Yeah, I mean,
go for it, brother.
If I got sick, it would suck. And
yeah.
So I'm being extra careful because
Amen.
I got a lot of work coming up, and I want to work.
You need to be working, brother, because you're an amazing man. You're an amazing individual.
Well, thank you.
And all the kids, man, I'm sure they just love having Mr. Troy Peters. I know, man, it was so cool, my experience, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But that was a lot of fun performing with you, and of course we have a few things to talk about: the Viva Selena show, the tribute to Emilio Navaira, and then you have your own original project too, man, on M.U.L, man. So that's kind of cool. I was going through your website last night. Very cool, man. It's like an Indian folk type group.
So for me, it's like, you know, I spend 80%, 90% of my time being a classical musician, but I grew up playing all kinds of music. And so over the last couple of years, I've been playing in this band, playing, you know, indie, folk, indie rock, somewhere in between. We're sort of acoustic. And, you know, we've gotten pretty good. So we're like, let's make a record. Let's try and move forward with this.
That's great, man.
It's like I got a job in music and I got a hobby in music. And now I'm trying to turn the hobby into more like work too. So,
dude, you know, it's... I agree with you on that because this was supposed to be a hobby.
Right.
And no, not anymore.
Well, anytime you're doing something, you want to do it right? Like when you're a musician, you grow up with this idea of like making everything as good as you can. And so once you do that, then you start working on a project, you want to make it kick ass. Yes, man.
I agree 100%. So congratulations on the album. And it's going to be released on January 29th, right?
Yep.
That's cool, man. We're about a week away. Week and a half away.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow. That's right. Next Friday. Yep. Well, congrats, man. And again, we're going to talk about that. We have a couple of video clips on that too as well. So we're going to be popping some of that in a little bit. So, all right, man. So we have Troy, man. And let me go ahead and let's check out. Well, first things first, man. I know that before I get into like any videos and things like that, one of the things that I want to know is how'd you even get into music, man, and then become, this YOSA awesome, conductor, and then, you're bringing in these pop things like Tejano and, incorporating that with the San Antonio Symphony and just, I mean, how does all that happen? What's your life like?
Well, so, I'm an orchestra conductor, and I'm a composer and an arranger, orchestrator, and I went to school studying music composition, but the reality is nobody wants to pay me to write a symphony, right? Like the world is not banging down the door looking for new symphonies.
Right.
But I realized in my 20s that conducting was a thing that went well for me, right? Started to conduct a lot all over the place with professional orchestras and also working with youth orchestras a lot.
Yeah.
And so, the thing for me is I grew up in the 80s and I grew up like falling in love with classical music, but also loving Prince and loving Elvis Costello and loving Los Lobos and, loving lots of different kinds of music. And then, so when I started working in classical music, it just made sense to me. Like, you want to do things that connect with and matter to your audience, right?
Right.
So when I moved to Vermont in my mid-20s, I got a job in Vermont. What was big in the 90s in Vermont was Phish. The biggest jam band of the 90s was a local band. Mm-hmm. And so I just called up Trey Anastasio, their lead singer, and said, do you want to do something with orchestra? And he was like, yeah. And we started working together. So to me, that just made sense. And I've worked with lots of local musicians everywhere I've been, but then that work with Trey led to the opportunity to do some other more national acts here and there. And, it's just, I love all kinds of music. As a classical conductor, I conduct Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and all the dead white guys. But I also, feel like the orchestra can serve the community. So that's what led to the Emilio show, which I pushed for a couple of years to get the San Antonio Symphony to do that. I'm really proud that was my pitch out of the gate to say,
my man.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, if you're in San Antonio and Emilio, like, I got here shortly before he passed, and I was like, I got to learn more about this guy because I'm not from around here. So I learned more about this guy, and I was like, what? The symphony should be celebrating his life and work, because what's more puro San Antonio than this guy?
Exactly.
Right? So,
exactly.
So I twisted their arms, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they were into it. They were from the very beginning. They were like, this is a great idea. Right. But it was just I had to keep working to get them to find the place in the schedule and connect all the dots, but eventually we made it happen.
Yeah, and is that what's it like scoring all of that Tejano music? Because I know that you have to, when we're performing, we are a 7-piece band. We are looking at drums, bass, guitar, accordion, some keys, and backups and vocals and all that. So when you're putting this together, what's the procedure, man? Like, what's actually, like, how are you breaking everything down? How do you know, like, when we're playing promesas and I'm, like some of those parts, like, you're sticking oboes, or like, let's say we're doing like a horn part and I'm just like doing synth horns or synth patches, and then you give them to other instrumentations to just do it on a symphonic level, orchestra level. So how is that all? How do you determine what patches are going to go to what kind of an instrument?
Right. Well, so that's experience more than anything else. That I've done hours and hours and hours of orchestration over the course of my career, and I've had things that worked well, and I've had things that sounded like crap. And when you do something and it sounds like crap, then you go, all right, next time I'm going to make it sound better. That was a bad idea. So at this point, I'm a gray-haired old man, and so it's really and then your keyboard parts and everything about those Emilio arrangements in the original versions was full of layers and musical details. So it was pretty easy to sit down and go like, okay, cool. There's this kind of like, there are tunes where there's like almost a Caribbean vibe, and okay, great. Well, that here are some other percussion layers we can add that would work with that. Here's how, and you just learn, like any musical thing, you listen a lot, you use your ears. And, I want to make this horn section sound like James Brown, and now I want to make this horn section sound like Prince, and now I want to make this horn section sound like Marc Martinez's keyboard. So it's like trying to find the voicings that you're using, and then bring them to the orchestra.
Yeah. Well, before we get into some more Emilio, we do have some shots from when we did the Selena show. So that's pretty cool because for me, it's an honor, to perform with you anyways, with the San Antonio Symphony. We did it back in the 90s as well. And then doing it again with you is amazing. But just having, I guess just being asked again to do it, and you fighting for it. Now that I know you were fighting for it, for a couple of years. And, and just like with Fish, you know what I mean? It's like what musician doesn't want to play with the San Antonio Symphony, right? I mean, come on, you know what I mean? I mean, anybody would say no, because even when I was younger, I would think of, man, it would be so cool to play with an orchestra like that. Right. And then I got a chance to do it.
Well, when you take a ballad, on the Selena show, we were working with Isabel Marie Sanchez, and she in collaboration with Selena's family. Mm-hmm. Selena's family put the show together with the Houston Symphony, and then they started marketing it to other groups, right? And I was like, this is a no-brainer too. We got to get this to come to San Antonio. But I guess, for me, like you and I had already worked on the Emilio show when I was putting the Selena show together for San Antonio. This show we did with the Youth Orchestra, which is my group. Mm-hmm. And, I just felt like it was a great way for the youth orchestra kids to connect to local culture, right?
Nice.
And we had so many kids in the orchestras whose like moms and aunts and uncles were like over the moon about this show because it's like the music that their generation grew up with, right? But anyway, you and I had already worked on the Emilio show basically a year before the Selena show. And so I already knew what a strong, flexible, versatile musician you are. Like you and I just kind of clicked on that Emilio show.
Yeah.
And so I was looking I needed people who could I need to put together a little backing vocal group. And I knew that you could hire the right people and just make a group that would show up and sing the dots off the page. Yeah. So it was just like, here's this guy who
I appreciate that.
knows how to do this stuff. So
anyway,
anyway,
had a great time
that's why I
doing
pulled
it,
you
man.
in. Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
thank you, because that was, man, that when I saw your email or your text, I was like, oh wow, cool, wow, Troy Peters is calling me, great. Okay, let me get my ass on the horn here and let's figure this out. But yes, when you had asked me, I was completely floored about it, but I knew I had the girls to do it too. Right. You know what I mean? And we have, and then we go back to the shot. We have Sarah Centeno on the far left, Anna Rodriguez in the middle, and then Marc Martinez on the right, the bald guy. But that was a good show, man. It was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. And,
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm Tejana, right? I did not grow up in this culture. I am the whitest of white guys, and I grew up in the Seattle area, and but wherever I've gone in my life and career, when I get someplace, I wanna learn that place. I want to learn that place's culture, and whether it's food, whether it's music. But since I'm a musician, especially music. So,
right.
I worked with Patsy Torres a few years ago and worked a lot with Campanas de America, Mariachi. And, to me, it's just like, that's part of the gig. And then I've also done a lot of work with, local indie bands, Volcon and Buttercup and all kinds of dozens of local bands, putting them with the orchestra, because I just feel like it's part of what an orchestra should do for a community. Part of what an orchestra should do is put things on stage that wouldn't happen if the orchestra didn't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because there is that thing, like you hear a sweeping, amazing Emilio ballad, right? With real strings and, soaring French horns. Like, the keyboard parts are amazing, don't get me wrong, but when you hear it with a full orchestra, it's just like, oh damn, okay, now it's like this is going to bring tears to your eyes.
Well, when Promesas, mm-hmm. right? And I think that's the ballad you're referring to. So in like when we did that song, it was all on an ONW, a Korg
Right.
ONW, everything. All my little timpanis were, you know, that's why it's probably why you might hear a couple little bad notes in there on the rolls, but everything it was like Raul Navaira was the one who said, yeah, we should kind of do something, you know, a little different on this particular song, and let's maybe orchestrate it. And I was like, what? You want to orchestrate this? I go, yeah, man, let's do it. You know what I mean? And that was kind of the approach. And I was just sitting there, but to hear it
Yep.
with you guys,
Yep.
woo,
Well, and
a lot of people come on.
when we started, you know,
Nice.
I got once I got the symphony to say, yeah, let's go down this road on the Emilio show. The next step for me was getting the boys, getting Diego and Emilio in the conversation.
Those
So
guys.
then we started to go back. Diego and I started to go back and forth about what's the set list, right?
Right.
And he sent me, you know, here are the 8 or 10 songs we have to do. And then he said, and why don't you tell me what you think we should do? And Promesas is one I brought to the table. Because as soon as I heard that, I was like, yeah, are you kidding me? Like, this is just sitting here. It's never been done with a live orchestra.
Right.
Maybe it was done once. I don't know. But I was like, if it's like, you got to do this with a live
For
full
sure.
orchestra. Plus, most of my work is already done. I just got to sit down with headphones and like write out what's already on the record and just make it, you know, work with the
Oh,
orchestra.
so then I should get like some credit for the arrangement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I put my name on the little symphony little thing. All right. Marc Martinez. No, man, that's but it's true. You know, I think that's one of the songs that like at the time when we were doing it, it was great. It was in my heart. It's what I wanted to do. It came out the way it came out. It was a lot of fun hearing it on the radio, and then you guys come and do it. Blast. I have a little video clip from the symphony. Well, actually, before I move on to the Emilio stuff, Smiley, would you mind handing me that keyboard because my keys are not working, my switch keys. So let's go back to some of these pictures real quick so that I can, so we can wrap up some of this Selena stuff because this is kind of cool. So again, we have Isabel right there, and then we have Anna, Sarah, myself, and then there's another nice photo right here. This is cool.
Post-show hangout.
Post-show. Yeah, this was nice. Very nice. Pre-COVID, you can tell.
Yeah.
And there you are right there. That's nice. That's a really good shot right there.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you get overshadowed when you're next to somebody with a dress that big, but
A red dress on top of
yeah,
that.
exactly.
That's a nice.
She knows how to put on a show. You know?
Yeah, man. No, she did great. She did great, man. And yeah, good for her, man. She's doing well. I see some of her stuff on online, you know, through Facebook and you know her little videos, and yeah, she's staying busy.
Yeah.
She's staying busy. That's for sure, man. And all right, so then let's move on, man, because I definitely want to talk about some more of the Emilio stuff because this is okay. So you were saying earlier that you had just moved in right before Emilio passed, or moved to San Antonio, right before Emilio passed. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I did not. Nope.
No,
I did not.
he was a great man.
Yeah.
Cool dude.
You know, Julian, the bass player's son, was in the youth orchestra.
Oh, Jules.
So
Julian.
yeah.
That's
And,
right. He was.
And he was
right.
so my first year, his son was the bass trombone player in the youth orchestra. And he's a killer bass trombone player, right? So I met his dad just briefly, and his dad was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm a musician, and I used to play with Emilio." And I'm embarrassed to say, I was being new to San Antonio. I was like, "Oh, who's that?" And I was like, I knew when I asked it, like, I said, like, I know he's got to be a big deal, but I'm not from around here.
Right,
and,
right.
You know, and so I started to listen actually all the way back then. You know, and then when the funeral happened, you know, I was very aware of the news coverage of all of that. And that's when I started to think about, you know, is there a way to do something with orchestra here? And I didn't pitch anything for a couple of years, but a couple of years later, once I had met the boys, once I had met his sons through working with Buttercup, and which they were playing in the
My Little Buttercup.
different band, but
Different band, okay.
But anyway, they were playing with Buttercup sometimes, and so I worked with them there on a Beatles show, and was like, you know what, you guys, like, what would you think about doing this? And they were like, if we can make it happen, let's make it happen. So then I just, you know, I spent a lot of years. And again, the symphony from day one, David Gross, who was the CEO at the time, was like, "It's a great idea. Like, we just have to figure out how we make all the deals. How do we get the right artists involved? How do we pay for it? When do we schedule it?" And then the symphony had some financial troubles, and there were just like some periods where things got delayed. But anyway,
right.
Like it was really like one of my main San Antonio dreams was to make this show happen.
Wow.
And so then we had a great time building the set list.
Mm-hmm.
Diego and I were texting back and forth a lot. We had a shared Spotify playlist where we'd move things in and out, kind of change the order and mess around. And, I remember really lobbying for certain tunes we were both immediately clicked with. The one tune that really immediately I heard the arrangement in my head was Juntos.
Oh, yeah.
Where from the very beginning, like the second time I listened to that song, I started singing a cello part, like imagining the solo cello that could go as like a counter melody to it. And, so just a lot of fun, like getting to know these songs, getting to know. So, I mean, like kicking myself going, I wish I'd known this music when I was younger, because it just wasn't music I heard in Philadelphia in the time that I was living there, or in Seattle.
So you're hearing Tejano for the first time. Okay, so when did you hear Tejano music for the very first time?
I mean, like a lot of people outside of this part of the country, it was when the Selena movie came out.
Okay.
I mean, after Selena's death, I became aware of her, heard some Selena, and then honestly didn't go much beyond that. I've been into Los Lobos for years, which of course is not Tejano. I know that, but it connected me to already kind of being really interested in the music of the kind of border music, what are the connections between American pop and Mexican traditions, and like what is Spanish language pop like, and I was interested in that.
That's cool.
But I didn't like invest a lot of time.
Right.
But once I got here, started to listen to Emilio's music, and then I did a show with Patsy Torres where I had to arrange a couple of her songs. Got to arrange a couple of her songs, and that like let me dig deep into how that worked. And what drew me to it more than anything else out of the gate? All of the kick drum stuff, all this like double pedal kick drum stuff. Yeah. It's like like speed metal drumming, like kick. I was like, it's a polka with like crazy kick drum, and I was like, this stuff, it's so crazy, like it's so interesting.
Yeah,
there's so many layers of details from I don't know, because I think with most musicians, you hear a style of music you don't know well, and you kind of go like, oh yeah, okay, I hear that style, I get it. And then as soon as you start to dig in to anything good, and most musicians try to make things good, right?
Right.
You dig in and you start going, oh, I see what that guy's doing. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Well, listen to those voicings in the keyboard. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so for me, the kick drum and the Tejano was the thing where it's not like all songs have this, but like, you know what I mean? Like I started to hear this.
Well, it's that rhythm section. So then you start putting in a bass player in there too that can just follow that drummer. Like it's solid. You know what I mean? It's solid.
Yep.
Like Jules and Albert, for our stuff. And
well, Jules, I love Jules' playing, and Albert, like listening to Albert's stuff on the record and just being like, I'm glad I don't have to write this down. And,
Albert, dude, to be honest with you, Albert, since we're bringing him up, he had a different style. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't traditional Tejano.
Right.
He's a rock drummer.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right.
He's a
like
rock
there's these rock
drummer
techniques.
Coming in here and learning how to play Tejano, but putting his rock influence in there. It changed the game. It changed the game for Emilio's style.
Right.
Julian too came in. I mean, we had some other musicians when I came in, because I got in there when I was 22, so that was a while back. and then so we. Once we kind of switched out some musicians and brought in Julian, brought in Carl, it changed the dynamic of the band completely. Right. You know what I mean? Because Emilio with Mike Morales was recording rock stuff too. Right. So we had to be, and on top of that, we're recording country, and we're getting, so we're having to do country, we're doing his Spanish rock, we're doing like all these styles, man. Right. And we had to come out and produce on a show, like, especially when you're opening up for Alan Jackson, or if we're playing with the San Antonio Symphony, or whatever these shows that we had, which were huge. It was that's what was able. That's how we were able to just keep going and just keep rocking, man, because it was such a good band. It was so different from the norm.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of, and of course, Emilio's Emilio. And I think that's what kind of put us over the edge. And we were doing it like Selena. Selena was, crossing over to top 40, and we were doing our thing in country.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and that thing of the way that Emilio was like just straddling genres, mixing genres, and also
Yeah.
like just going, like when he sang country so freaking well.
Yeah,
he was a great country singer.
Yeah.
And but like you say, like there's these elements that pull in other elements, and because that's my world. Like if I'm a classical musician, but I work with Branford Marsalis, or I work with the guy from Fish, or I work with a Tejano singer, or I work with and I work with a mariachi band, and like all of that for me is like,
bro.
that's what it's about, is like, how do we find these
How do you bridge the gap, right?
Right, exactly. Like
With the symphony and the culture.
right. Because again, don't get me wrong, I love Beethoven. Like, I'm in this world because I believe in classical music, and it's I think if you get to know classical music, it rocks as hard as anything out there. Like, there are things in classical music that are just like, like just as intense for me as the Scorpions or Metallica, or just as intense as like the hardest Beastie Boys track or whatever. Like, there are these things that are just, and there are things that are gorgeous and tranquil, and there are all these, like, it's got this whole world. I really believe in it, right?
Yeah.
I also think, like, you've got to find ways to connect with people, and you've got this tool where you can do Star Wars, and you can do stuff with Emilio, and you can do Gone with the Wind or The Wizard of Oz, and there are so many things an orchestra can do, and like, you got to do those things, especially the things that have local meaning. So
Yeah. That's great, man.
yeah.
That's great how you're doing that. It really is, because you're right. We have to find a way to bring, because it's so important. The culture is so important, man. And to bring that in with the San Antonio Symphony, it's amazing, man. All right, so we have a couple of people saying hello. So let me see. Bertie Vada, Danny Martinez, that's my dad. Hey, what's up, Dad? And Adam Drums watching. We saw him earlier. Gabriel Fierro, what's up, Gabriel? Danny Martinez again. Emilio, what's up, Emilio? He's saying hello. Melissa Luna, Irma Valdez, Stephanie Marie is watching. Pee-wees, hey, Pee-wees. Pee-wees are some really good friends of ours from the Emilio days. They always put us up in their home, and they live in Midland, and they always watch the show, man. They're great people, man. I love you guys. I love y'all. And so I have a little clip here. It's a short clip, man, but it's actually, I think it's video, number 3. So this is like us, like a little small video capture. It might be from like a device or something from us with you guys at the Symphony. We're just kind of doing like a little sound check or something. It's kind of cool, man. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on here real quick, and I hope it's the right video. No, it's not. Damn it. Let me see. Okay, my bad. That's the wrong one. I think we've got to program some stuff over here, my friend Smiley. Let me see over here. Well, this is a video that, let's just cut to video 3. So this was a video that I was going to play over here. So I guess I don't want to take any chances. I'm getting scared. All right. So back to the Emilio stuff. So I know that I do have some pictures here, man, from when we did the Emilio show. And this is like pre-Emilio show. This is when we were working on rehearsals, and we were getting everything ready. And Smiley, would you mind handing me that book, that green book over there? It's on top of the printer. Thank you, brother. So this was very, very cool. Thank you, brother. Oh man, you're the best. So right here, this is the actual. It's kind of bright. I don't want the lights there, but this is my. This is my song that Ada Rivas and I wrote, and Troy composed it and did the arrangement. And that's it right there on the screen. And that's me and my boy Marky with Troy. And this is a great day, man. This is when was this the first time I met you?
I think it was. Yeah, we're at the rehearsal studio, just rehearsing with the band.
Right.
For me to make sure that the charts are going to line up with how you guys are playing everything. And, a couple days later, we got in with the actual orchestra. And so we got to this, and you were psyched about seeing this tune that you had written turned into an orchestra score.
Yeah, man.
And because part of what's crazy about an orchestra score, you guys, is like, if you think about how many instruments there are in a full orchestra, you've got flutes and oboes and clarinets and bassoons and horns and trumpets and trombones. So there's like lines and lines and lines in this music with every part for every instrument. And so for a musician who's written something and lived with it in their ears and in their head, to see like all of those notes on the page ends up being this really exciting thing. And honestly, over and over again, when I've worked with musicians on doing arrangements, like for a lot of people, that thing of seeing the score is this feeling like, oh man, like those are my notes, and there they are. And
hey, bro, how bad was I bugging you, man, about getting a copy of this, right? Yep. Oh my gosh, man.
Yep. Well, and I was like, yeah, I'll get you a copy of the score, and he was texting me going, "Where's my score? Where is it? Get it over here."
It's true, man. It's true. And then you were so kind to bring it over here. You brought it to my home, man. All right, this is us rehearsing again. There's Diego right there, fronting the band. Good job. There's Albert in the back on drums, and Mr. Troy Peters making sure that we're on our game.
Well, and mainly I'm making sure I'm on my game, right? Like you guys know these songs like the back of your hand. Me, I'm like trying to learn the language. And so it's a chance for me to sit there and go, oh, so that's how you get in and out of that spot, or that's how you make that transition, so that when we get to rehearsal with the orchestra, I can, not lose a beat on what you guys are doing.
What's it like working with the Tejano band? What's it like working with these guys?
Oh, it was great. Everybody can play the hell out of everything.
Were we good boys?
You were. I mean, it was freaking loud. It was the loudest room I've ever been in, and I grew up playing some like seriously plugged in stuff. But yeah, it was fun. And funny. I mean, the boys, Emilio and Diego, right, are just, I don't know. Those guys are just so talented. So like,
I love
you can
them.
tell they just grew up like with this music in their souls, right? And then you have you guys who've played these songs, thousands of times?
Thousands.
So it was great. I learned a lot, and I had a fun time. And you guys were fun to be with. And it's just one of those things when you, like any show, right? Anytime you put on a show, you work on it, you put a couple of rehearsals in, the performance comes, and then you just want to do it like 50 more times, because it's like, and that show, we did that one night, and then that's it, we're done. And then I would love to try and convince some other orchestras actually to take it on and do the same thing. And
we did the Dallas one as well.
Mm-hmm.
We did Dallas, but that was back in the 90s.
Right.
Dude, I am what I was thinking about earlier when I was I'm gonna go through some more pictures here in a minute, but when talking about the boys, Emilio and Diego, they've been a blessing to me. You know what I mean? I've known them all their lives. Mm-hmm. I've known them, since they were. I think Diego was like 2, Emilio was like 3 or something like that. Emilio was my ring bearer for my wedding. He's one of my writers. He's my producer, one of my producers for my record. Diego is like laying down killer guitar tracks for me. He's helping us. He's just family, man.
Right. Yeah.
These guys are amazing. So this is us right here. That's the Symphony. That's us over there. That's a cool shot right there.
Yeah.
That's a good one right there. That was a nice night. I don't know who I'm smiling at over there, but somebody caught me there, and I just like, hi. I don't know what I was doing. And another bird's eye view. There you go. That's cool, man. I think that's what I have there for the Emilio show. I think I have one more. That's the one I wanted to get to, man. This is a great picture, man. Carl, Raul, Diego, Troy, Emilio, Marc, Albert, Julian, and Pete. I still know their names, man.
That's good.
Well, we haven't played in forever, man. It's like, we haven't had a gig, and we haven't done the tribute. And we were supposed to do a tribute in July of last year in Vegas, and that didn't happen, So,
yeah.
All right, so we were back to the beginning on that. So that's cool, man. That's definitely like a really cool. It's an honor, man. Like just to go jam out with all you guys. You know what I mean? And just it was great. And to be asked to do it again for a second time was amazing. Your album, man. We got to talk about that a little bit because you guys have been working hard on your album. And Fort Knox?
Fort Knox is the name of the record, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the band is called Monomials. Yeah, I don't know. Band names are hard, right? Like every year that goes by, more band names get taken up. So like we sat there for days and days and days thinking of band names and being like, oh, that's a great name. 5 guys on Spotify already have that name, and we really wanted to have something that's not out there. So it's Monomials. It's one of those things where once we're huge, it'll make sense. You'll love it,
right?
But I've been a classical musician my whole life, but I also grew up as a bass player playing REM covers and Van Halen songs and all that stuff in the 80s. I grew up messing around on the guitar, and so music of all styles has always been an interest, right? Over the last 5-6 years, I started working with an old friend. This is a little bit of a story, but I'm going to tell it. Why not, right?
Go ahead.
So I went to high school in the Seattle area with a guy named Richard Keith, who is a great guy. We were friends in high school, and hung out, and I actually even wrote a song where he had written the lyrics and I wrote the music in high school, right? And then literally 25 years go by with us not seeing each other once.
25 years.
22 years. I moved to San Antonio, and through the magic of Facebook, Richard goes,
"Oh wow,
hey man, I live in San Antonio, and
what?
I've got 2 kids. He and his wife have a kid. They're around the same age. The couples start hanging out. The kids grow up together. We become really good friends. And a couple of years into us hanging out, he plays for me some songs he's written. And I'm like, dude, these are good, and we could make them even better. And so we started writing more songs together and playing together. And I play mandolin. I play melodica. I play a little bit of banjo, although not on the record. And he plays guitar and ukulele, and we got a great bass player, a great drummer, and we started, just turning this. It started out purely acoustic, and then the last couple of years we started plugging in. So anyway, we got pretty good. And about a year ago, we were like, it's time to make a record.
Nice.
We talked to Joe Reyes and booked him to produce for us. Went into Joe's studio, started recording. It was great. Everything was going really, really well. Got about 80% of the record done, and then COVID hit. Oh. And so, it was one of those things where it's like I'm wearing this now because I'm an old man, and I can't get sick. So we couldn't keep working that way. So I did what a lot of people have done. I learned how to use Logic Pro, and I started learning, more about recording. We all recorded tracks in our homes. We started, laying in horn parts and string parts and doing everything with all the musicians remote and mixing it in Logic. And so I ended up co-producing with Joe and learning how to do all that stuff, learning a whole bunch about mixing.
Whoa, hold on. You mixed it?
I mixed the whole record. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Troy.
Yeah. And it sounds good. You're going to find out, man. Sounds really good.
My man.
Yeah. I totally mixed it. But I mean, Joe taught me kind of the structure of things. But then I learned, these days you can figure out anything on YouTube, right? You can go
how do you think I figured this out?
Right, exactly. yeah. And now you can do anything, right? You can.
And then I got Smiley coming over here and making some cool little. Yeah, this is great, dude.
So anyway, so I mixed the record, and it's coming out a week from tomorrow, and I think it's. I'm really proud of it. Richard writes all the songs. I don't write a note of the songs. I arrange, just like I did on the Emilio show. I'll take the songs and add string parts. Sometimes I'm involved in thinking with him about structure, hey, maybe we need a bridge, or maybe that chorus should hit a little sooner, or those kinds of things. But more, it's just fun to just be in a band and play some songs, man. We were playing a lot of shows, and we're not doing that anymore. But maybe someday. Yeah. So.
No, man, it's all gonna come back around. But that's I think a big part of it is the brotherhood too, man. Like you guys are doing this together, man. So you got Richard, Yeah, Brandon Henson, bass
Yep.
player, right?
Brandon-
Eric Peterson, drummer.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon is Brandon works with me at YOSA. Actually, he's my boss at YOSA. He's the guy who runs YOSA, the business side of it, and I run the music side of it, right? But he used to be Andy Williams' bass player in Branson, Missouri. So if you think of the guy who sings "It's the most wonderful time," of the like. Brandon used to like play upright bass and electric in Andy Williams' show. He's got all kinds of like chops. But now he works in arts administration. So I was like, dude, we got a band. You want to be a bass player? And then Eric Peterson's a great drummer. Everything from kind of Radiohead influences to he plays a lot of musical theater, pit orchestras. He's got classical chops. And so he can play anything. He's one of those guys where we can just
Real
be
versatile, get kind of...
Yeah, exactly. We can, and he's got a really creative ear for stuff. He doesn't just... It's not too fancy, but it's like he's got a really great ear for stuff. But the key, honestly, is Richard writes great songs, and he's got a great, distinctive kind of voice. And I mean, he's my best friend, so I'm biased, but I think he's really, really a great, distinctive voice.
That's cool because when you have a great friend, man, like I have right there, Ed Rivas. At the time when we were writing, man, he was like my buddy, man. Like we were just always writing, always just trying to arrange because Emilio was wanting arrangements as much as possible. Especially when during writing season, we would spend all night just recording or just coming up with stuff. So I totally get it, man. So kudos to Keith, man. Keith, right?
Richard Keith.
Richard Keith.
He's got that thing.
He's got two first names.
So I do too, right? We have this thing.
That's
like,
right. Two first names.
People call me Peter Troy all the time. It's Troy Peters. And and then he's got the problem that, Keith Richards is kind of a famous name. So you just flip that.
Oh yeah. Dude, I didn't even snap to that. That's so true. Okay, I do have a video here, man. I hope it plays. It's not 5? Okay, so which one is this right here? Does that say 4?
No, that's 5.
That's 5? I can't see.
That's 4.
Right there? Okay. Light a candle, party people.
Oh, yeah, this is us.
Gotta get to you, but I don't know how. It's 11 hours on the dash right now. Gotta get to you. Gotta get to you. Gotta drive all night across 3 states. I'll make it somehow and I won't be late. Gotta get to you. With windows down around my ears, headlights reaching through the dark. 78 station radio, even the losers fills the car. But you and me know we will succeed. We'll find the lock and we'll turn the key. gotta get to you. Gotta drive all night across 3 states. I'll make it somehow and I won't be late. Gotta get to you. You know I always was naive, seedling reaching for the lights. Well, everyone was so on edge, tapping, itching for a fight. But you and me, you know, we will succeed. We'll find the lock, we'll turn the key. You and me, you know, we will succeed. We'll find the lock and we will turn the key.
All right, everybody. I got my mask on, party people. Is that working? All right. So, yeah, Yvonne came in and told me I needed to wear a mask. But look, this is Emilio and Diego's mask right here.
That's really nice.
Hey, dude.
It's a good look.
When you were taking your little ride on your mandolin, I heard like a little overdrive in there or something. You want to talk about that? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so, you know, I mentioned I learned a little bit about using Logic.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we got really into is like, there's a ton of stuff that we had recorded either just a straight 1/4-inch cable signal, just a plain signal, or in some cases, literally like unplugged Mando with just an acoustic mic, right? But then post-production, sometimes I started to mess around with putting it through virtual amps or virtual pedal boards or whatever.
Right.
So in that case, that's just running the Mando through a virtual pedal board after it's recorded. Because I was just trying to find some colors, you know, to kind of have just a little more variety in the sound as the record goes on. And so, yeah, so I've had conversations with some gearhead guitarists who've listened to the record and been like, oh man, what kind of amp is that? And I'm like, well, actually that one was just acoustic and I just did it in Logic. And they're like, oh, all right, well, it sounds pretty good. But, you know, it's I fully recognize, right? Like I'm dabbling, I'm learning stuff, I'm figuring stuff out, but I'm proud of it. I think it sounds really good. I think we, again, you know, we're proud of this record. I think people are really going to enjoy it. So, and there's a real wide variety of sounds. You know, we're middle-aged white guys, and so it's kind of middle-aged white guy music, but I think that a lot of people would connect with these, and the lyrics are really smart and funny.
Oh yeah,
creative.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
No man, it's I don't think it's a bunch of old white guys.
I didn't say old.
Oh, I heard old.
Well,
no, but I'm just saying, like, it's like I said, you're making music, man. You're with your brothers. You know what I mean? What more do you want?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the best feeling in the world, man. I love
totally.
it.
Totally.
Yeah, and so we have another video too, but I think, well, before we talk about that, how many cuts are on the album anyways, and how are we going to be able to get your album once it's released?
So it drops a week from Friday, January 29th, and it's going to be on all the streaming services. So if you go to Bandcamp or, you know, Apple Music or Spotify or any of those places, it's going to be there. Right now, if you search it, we're not there because this is our first record. So we're only going to show up when the record comes out. But if you look for Fort Knox, that's the easiest thing to remember. Okay. Or the band is called Monomials, like, you know, 8th grade algebra. And and we're you know, we're also our Bandcamp page will be selling CDs. We're going to have vinyl LPs in a couple of weeks that we'll add as well. Those are coming in a few more weeks. Just because, you know, we figure you go to all this trouble to make a record, you want people to be able to have it if they want it. So it'll be, but you know, these days, of course, most people stream. And if you go to YouTube too, we're on YouTube. We've got several music videos. We've got a new video coming out tomorrow, actually, for another song on the record. So there's There's quite a few.
Well, maybe you
videos.
want, tomorrow I'll be posting like a little replay of this tomorrow, so maybe you can kind of pop on there and just
I'll throw in the comments.
yeah, man, throw it in the comments. We do have some pictures here from some of these great pictures that you sent me, and let's go ahead and let me see if this transition works. All right.
Yeah, so that is Midori, and Midori is a Japanese-American violinist who, most people would say is one of the 5 best violinists in the world. She's just totally amazing classical violinist. And so that's me working with her about 14 years ago now. And that was with a youth orchestra in Vermont. She came and worked with the kids and was just totally amazing. But the story for me out of that is she taught me to push musicians I'm working with farther than I think I can push them, because we're standing there in rehearsal and she starts to play so quietly that I'm, a few feet away from her and I can barely hear her. And I make the orchestra quieter, show the orchestra that I want them to get quieter. They get a lot quieter. And she goes, cool, and plays even quieter. So she just challenges us to say, how far can we push this? And it was so great because with no words, she told me what she wanted. I got the orchestra to do it. She told me she wanted even more. I got the orchestra to do it. And then when we stopped, she turned around to the kids and said, do you know what you just did? And sort of told them, you responded to what you were hearing and what you were seeing. You are musicians. That is what this is about. And it was just it was so cool to just, and so I've always thought since then, whether it's with pros or with kids, we really need to make sure we're all pushing ourselves to be the best we could be.
And when the kids were hearing that from her, what was their reaction?
Oh, I mean, there was when we were doing it, they were just trying to play their parts and keep up, right? But when we finished and she stopped and said, do you know what she just did? You could see their eyes just light up of oh my God. Because, if you grow up playing the violin, you know who Midori is. She's a rock star. She's the Eddie Van Halen of the violin. And so it was just a thing where people were like, oh my God, we did that. Oh my gosh. So it was great.
Those kids.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is an Oregon band called Blind Pilot. And they're an indie folk band that are pretty big in the, especially on the West Coast. But one of the most fun symphony shows I ever did was their symphony show.
Yeah.
Just, 4,000 insane, fired up local fans who just loved the band. And those guys play like crazy. Really, really beautiful band. The Oregon Symphony we were playing with, and it's a great orchestra, where I had some old friends in the orchestra. And so it was just this really fun weekend. That thing we were talking about making music with people you love. The band and I were new to each other. We met 2 days before the gig, just like you and I met 2 days before the Emilio gig. But it just, everything clicked, and some great time with old friends in the orchestra. So it was
that's cool,
a great
man.
show.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So sorry, there's some side. I didn't even see that. Oh, but that's
Ricardo Chavira.
Yeah, it's Ricardo, man.
So he's playing Selena's dad in the Netflix Selena show now. But he used to be on Desperate Housewives, and he's been to lots of other things, of course. So that's a show we did the first few months of the Tobin Center. When we opened the Tobin Center,
wow.
One of the second concert I ever conducted in the Tobin Center was with Ricardo, doing a piece for actor and orchestra called Lincoln Portrait, where you say the words of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
That's Branford Marsalis, of course, who used to be, Jay Leno's band leader and used to play in Sting's band. And one of the great sax players of our time.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. I don't know if you know Brandon Rebus, but Brandon was out there at Loyola in New Orleans, and he has a lot of history with the family. Yep. He used to tour with the dad.
Right.
But yeah, the Marsalises are a very talented family.
Yeah, it's a great family. And, Branford, honestly, is another person who came in and, there was no compromise. There was just this thing of, he played with these kids. This is the Youth Orchestras of San Antonio. He played with these kids just like he would play with the New York Philharmonic. He just came in and just nailed it. He treated them like pros. He treated them with respect. But he did this great kind of hangout masterclass where he just talked about his life as a musician, right? About 3 minutes before it starts, over at Trinity University, this big tall guy walks in, David Robinson, And it turns out that when David Robinson played in the Olympics in Barcelona in the 90s, Branford was also playing a concert at the Olympics in Barcelona. And Branford gave David Robinson a saxophone lesson on the roof of the hotel that he was staying in. And they're old buddies. So when we announced that Branford was in town, David Robinson shows up and comes to the master class. And, it was just a fun kind of old home week thing.
Got some music.
I should have sent you the picture of all three of us. But anyway, that was cool.
Really? So you have a picture of you, David, and Branford?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. And that's the only other time I've met David was at Bill Miller on a Sunday morning when he was picking up tacos. And then that's Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for people in my generation, one of the great drummers of our time. And that's the show he played with the San Antonio Symphony. He actually didn't perform in that show. He was a composer in that show.
Nice.
But
that's cool.
I went up and I had a bunch of my old high school friends I had to send that to say, like, dude, you never thought your conductor friend would hang out with Stuart Copeland, but there he is.
Dude. Sarah saying hi.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Yeah. Oh, there's Emilio. He's saying, Mark, party people, come on. Sting. Yeah, man. There's Emilio chiming in there. Oh, my dad said that you had a great arrangement on your song. He says, great song arrangement, my dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What's up, Sarah? What's going on? You remember Sarah, man? She was a little badass little singer,
totally.
Man. Yeah,
totally.
My girl. How you doing, Sarah? And yeah, so we have another picture here. So there we go. They're the boys.
Diego and Emilio backstage. And, you already showed that great dressing room photo of the whole band.
Yeah.
But my wife likes this photo because for some reason I look skinnier than I actually am. But yeah, those guys, it's just that thing. Like we talked about, that night was a great night. That's post show,
awesome
and
night,
we just
man.
had a great time. And I wish we were doing
badass
some more of them.
All right, let me see here.
So that's Trey Anastasio from Fish. And that's actually just last year when he was in San Antonio. But we've done a bunch of shows together. Like I said, when I was in Vermont, I called him up and just said, like, do you want to write for orchestra? We did an orchestra show together. We made a couple records that I was involved with on his solo albums. And I did a few shows with his solo band.
Nice.
The most memorable was probably Radio City Music Hall. Huge packed house at Radio City Music Hall. And I had a string quartet that was playing on stage with him. And I was kind of there as their roadie or their manager, to just keep the kids out of trouble.
Right.
Because they were young musicians. And Trey wanted to make sure that they were kept in a particular part of backstage,
Right.
And it was just a chance to hang out and whatever. But then I ended up on stage playing percussion during the encore. And then we all walked off the stage, down through the audience and out into the streets of New York. We led the whole audience out of Radio City in like a conga line, and then came back to the stage door and just snuck in the stage door. And then there's like thousands of people out in the street like dancing outside of Radio City. It was in the New York Times the next day that the police were not very happy with him for just bringing the whole crowd out into the streets of New York.
Party people, come on.
I'll tell you what, when you're like, I was playing a cowbell, and like walking through the aisle of Radio City with people started coming out and follow the band, just like beating on a cowbell. That's a pretty fun experience.
Yeah,
it's
all
right.
Man.
It's not what
I got a fever.
Yeah, it's not what I got trained for at my fancy classical music conservatory, but it was a lot of fun. And Trey is like, honestly, I know like he's a great guitarist, a great musician, and just an incredibly warm, generous guy. So
that's
I've
awesome.
been really
man.
privileged to work with him off and on over the last 24 years now.
Hey man, can I say something real quick? I love your smile, bro. You have a
thanks,
cool
man.
smile. I know we really can't see it right now, but I'm saying like, you have a really cool smile.
Well, thank you. I don't smile enough. I've got a resting bitch face, but
do you?
Oh yeah, totally. But
I've never seen that face. Yeah, I've never seen that face.
But yeah, I am.
Okay, so there we are again. All right, cool, man. I love it. Oh, can you transition me back, brother? I don't know if this thing is working or not. So let me see. Am I working? There we go. Okay,
there
cool.
we are.
All right. And so I do have another video of one of your songs. So we tried 3 earlier, right? So 3 is not gonna work, my friend. So can you take us to take us to video 2. 2? Nah, I think 2 is the Tejano. Yeah, 2. Let's see if that one's it. Praise. Come on. Light a candle.
That's it.
Yes. Monomials. Let's do this.
I think about it every day. Guess that's the price I'll have to pay. I'm going back to Bismarck. I'm taking your sled dog tea. Across the ice and the plains, into the dark and the frozen rain. So with you or without you with me, I'm leaving here tonight. I guess that nobody knows what you might find out on the snow. 4 pools of red on white until the thaw of the spring. Been on this road 7 weeks now, running from men so close behind us now. So with you or without you with me, I'm leaving here tonight. I'm leaving here tonight. Tonight.
Dude, that was nice.
Thank you.
That's my favorite song.
All right.
So I just heard
That's the single. So it's
that's
perfect.
a single.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the 2. Thank you, Smiley. I've heard the 2 songs. Well, your 2 songs, and but I was drawn to that one. Okay, so tell me where that's shot at.
So we shot that at Southerly, which is a restaurant at the Pearl.
Okay.
And they were really great to let us go in there like first thing bright and early on a Monday morning. And we shot that at like 8 o'clock in the morning, because they have to get ready for lunch service. But we shot first thing in the morning, and we shot the video 2 years ago, and we played live. The original video was just an unplugged acoustic live performance.
Okay.
Then when we recorded the album version, I went back to the guy who had directed the video, Alejandro de Hoyos, and I said to him, is there any chance you could take that footage from 2 years ago and recut it to line up with the studio version of the song? And he's like, I probably could. And so, the lip syncing's not absolutely perfect, right? But he did these great things of like stretching the clips and making it all lock in with the studio version.
Dude, I couldn't even tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so
you did
it's
a great
like,
job.
Yeah, so the video's pre-COVID, but he actually recut it, to match a new post-COVID version of the song. So
That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's a smart way of using your COVID time, because man, I mean, I'm sure we all had to like restructure our lives, man. I mean, I know I did a lot of changing myself, and I hate masks. COVID, hurry up and stop. Yeah, man, that particular song, when I hear the groove, well, part of it, I think what was drawing me was the snare.
Right. Yep.
God, so that was kind of pulling me in there, and that whole feel, the whole rhythm section is just kind of slow, man, like grooving. Yeah, I love it, dude.
And the upright bass is a great thing, right? Like just that boom, 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 boom. It's just a great, I don't know, it's just a great atmospheric kind of vibe, and I feel like it's a cinematic storytelling kind of vibe. So
strings are in the back. I love
the
that.
strings in the back. That's
amazing.
A trio of 3 local string players. 2 of them are San Antonio Symphony musicians, but they play in a group called Agarita that is really great. And again, they're musicians who can play any style. They collaborate with jazz musicians and rappers and all kinds of different artists. Yeah. But they also are just top-notch, like legit classical players. God. So I wrote those charts, and then they each recorded them at home in their living room, and then I mixed them in Logic in my living or in my office. So.
And do you ever on a gig? Are y'all stuff like is your material charted? Do you have charts and stuff, or are you guys just go and jam on?
It's fun. It depends on who in the band. Honestly, I write out charts for the bass player because I basically work with Richard. Richard writes the songs. I work with Richard to figure out the arrangement. And so I will write the bass part first. And so when we learn a song, Brandon usually plays from sheet music. But once we learn the song, then we're all, we're all just going by ear. And things change a little bit from show to show.
Of course.
But I think it's because of my classical background. I think there's value in thinking through like a composed bass line. Yeah. You don't have to write it down on paper, right? Like a great bass player can write a great bass line on the fretboard.
Right.
But I think actually having a plan, you come up with better ideas sometimes. Like when you're working on a keyboard arrangement, right? Like sometimes you wing it, but sometimes you sit in your studio and try 17 different things and go, oh no, that is the voicing for that chord, or that's the groove that's going to make this part really cook.
Right, right. Well, dude, can you do me a favor?
What's that?
I need a favor. Can you sign my guitar?
Oh my God. I love signing guitars. Because I do it all the time.
This is a big part of me, man. I found this guitar. Well, I didn't find my guitar. I mean, I've had it. I used to teach kids with this guitar. And, I teach a little bit of guitar, brother. Mm-hmm. And so now I just have all my guests sign it.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
this is actually only the second guitar that I've ever signed. So
really?
I'm psyched to do it again.
So I have music signed by you, my score for my song. I have my guitar signed by you. Dude. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna remove this little mask for a minute.
That's cool, man.
Awesome, man.
All right, it's there.
It is there.
Right on the pick guard. I got a good spot.
Really? You got the pick guard? Let me see. You sure did. Who else is on the pick guard? Oh man, I think it's Sissy. I don't know.
That's the thing with people signing stuff. You can't always tell who it is.
You can't tell. A bunch of doctors. I could just say it's a bunch of doctors.
It's totally a bunch of doctors.
Because
who doesn't want a guitar signed by a bunch of doctors?
By a bunch of doctors, man.
Makes perfect sense.
It's COVID free. Well, man, I really appreciate you being here, man. I know you're a busy guy, man, and when I was communicating with you, man, and you're just being amazing by saying, "Yeah, man, I'll do it." I was like, "Wow, man, I got this is amazing that I get to call my friends, man, and they have my back, and I always have your back, man. If you ever need anything from me, I know you call me, but I appreciate everything that you've done for me and my me able to put playing with the San Antonio Symphony on my resume and that kind of cool stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, you're a key part of the San Antonio music scene, and like I say, one of the things that I want to do every place I work is get to connect with musicians and their audiences. And so I'm honored. I'm really, really honored.
Thank you.
That you thought of asking me on, and I've had a great time working with you on the stuff we've done, and I know we'll do more stuff in the future.
Yeah, man. And I can't wait till the next time we get a chance to work together. And kudos to your album. It's coming out next Friday. It's going to be on all the platforms. It's going to be on Spotify, iTunes, probably Amazon Music. It's going to be on everything. TikTok, bro.
It's on It will be on TikTok.
It'll be on TikTok.
Here's
And-
how I know it's going to be everywhere. I got my first YouTube content strike on my own video, where like my record distributor was like, "We own this," and I was like, "I know, because I gave it to you."
You're like, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next Friday, January 29th, everybody, so y'all be sure, please support. You know, we have to keep supporting. That's what I talk about all the time. If we keep supporting each other, we have great things like this happening where we get to come together and just kind of spread the love a little bit. And again, you know, a big part of the Monomials is the band. And just like anybody, just like any band, it's not one person, man. It's the entire crew, man. It's the crew. It's the band. It's just like, you know, we have to remember that we have a lot of people that create that groove, and they just keep us going and keep us flying through the evenings and help people just celebrate. So that's another reason why I do this, because I really want to make sure that your band's recognized, everybody's recognized, because we got to keep supporting each other like that. Gigs are gigs, man. It's cool, man, but it's not the same anymore. So you know what? There's other ways that we have to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you support me, and I support you, and I thank you for that, man. And I thank you for signing my guitar. This is great, man. I love it, man. Well, thank you, Troy. I appreciate it. Everybody, this is Marked Up Live. I want to thank Smiley again for helping me out. And I'm kind of far from my little thing over here, so where's my... You move things around. Let me see. Smiley, just take me to the outro. All right, everybody. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Troy Peters, for being here. And I'm sorry I'm not wearing my mask. I know I should be wearing my mask. Please don't take that personal, everybody. Not yet. But thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Next week, we have Ricky Valens from the Cumbia Kings with A.B. Quintanilla. So we'll see y'all next week. Thank you. God bless you. You guys stay healthy. Take care of yourselves. Bueno, party people, come on. I'll see y'all next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye. No, outro.
Party people out.
There's no stopping me. Clear the fog out my head. It's up in smoke again. So easy. I left my bags on the low road. Now I'm riding high. Feels like I can fly. So easy. Party people, come on. Party people, come on. Come on, party people, come on. Party people, come on. Party people, come on. Come on, party people, come on. Party people, come on. Party people, come on. Come on, party people, come on. Party people, come on. Party people, come on. Come on, party people, come on.
That's all fucked up.
Let's do it one more time. Another track. Yeah, another track.